World of Tanks Frontline Capping Tips. This is advice on how to cap or reset cap in the frontline game mode in World of Tanks. So first of all, when you're capping A, B, and C, you want to use super heavy tanks or super heavy TDs. Super heavy tank is like the Mauerbrecher, the VK168.01P, the OHO, I think, is another one, or the ONI, and the VK100.01P. And the super heavy TDs are the TS5, the T28, the AT15, and the Turtle, and the Yagdi Tiger 8.8, etc. And the reason why you want to use these tanks when you're capping is because they have stronger armor, they're going to be harder to damage, they might have more hit points. For cap D, E, and F, you're probably going to want to use light tanks, ideally. That's the way I always did it. Or medium tanks. And obviously, you can do it with a fast, heavy tank, but usually they're going to be the last ones to arrive. The light tanks will be there first, the medium tanks second, the heavy tanks last. And then the tank destroyers might show up also. Avoid knocking down walls or other objects because they prevent you from being spotted and can help defend against some incoming rounds. So Cap E on Epic Normandy has a lot of objects on the cap, and same thing with Cap D. And there's actually a wall, and you can hide behind the wall and still cap. And if people don't know about it, they might take some time to find you. But obviously now that a lot of people have been playing for many years, people know about that trick, hiding behind the wall on Cap E. Not every cap has objects on it. In fact, few of them do. You get more time in game if you cap at the last second. Get overtime for as much as possible. So there's an overtime mode. If you're on the cap when the time runs out, you get overtime. So the best thing to do is to cap at the last second in order to get the extra overtime and allow your allies to catch up. However, I believe you only get a minute and a half, and you have to cap within that time or win the game. If you just sit there on the cap, eventually the game is over. Maybe you do get an extra 30 seconds. It's hard to know because there's bugs in the game with the overtime. Use the Engineer Combat Reserve to cap faster or reset more easily. So it used to be that if you had the Engineer Combat Reserve, you would easily become general, you'd get lots of experience, you would cap really fast. So a lot of people eventually figured it out, and I believe they nerfed it so you can't cap as fast. It may have taken some of the features away, like you used to be able to block the cap also. I don't know if you still can. They change the combat reserves often, so what you read now might be very different a year from now. Drop smoke on the cap, or ask allies to drop smoke on the cap. So the first few days of Frontline, people don't remember how to play, but after a while, more towards the end of the week, they know how to play. So if you say drop smoke on cap D, your allies will do it. And some of them will just do it instinctively. I'm the type of person that I will do it automatically, help my allies out. Maybe on the weekends, you're going to get better luck with allies who are experienced players. During the week, I don't think you get experienced players. The smoke does help, but it's not perfect. You have to know how it works. And again, they changed the way that smoke works over the years. You need at least 6 minutes in the game to destroy the final objectives. That means that when you cap, you have to be done capping with 6 minutes to spare. If you don't, you're not going to win. I have played the game hundreds of times. You need 6 minutes to destroy the final objectives. If you have less than 6 minutes, you just don't win. The reason why is because it takes time to drive to the final objectives. It could easily take a minute or two to drive to the final objective, and your team probably is not going to be very organized, and the enemy is going to be defending it. It takes about 2 minutes for most teams to cap. However, the time to cap for D, E, and F is going to be different than A, B, and C. The last cap, I believe you cap it quicker than the first cap, but I'm really not sure. It's possible you do it quicker or longer. Again, it's one of those things where they change it over the years, but the capping time is not the same every time you cap. You need to kill to reset cap. If you just do damage, it delays capping, but does not reset. So damage delays, but does not reset. You got to take the enemy out. Send a recon flight over a cap if the tanks are unspotted. I'm going to tell you that recon, I don't think it works very well. You're supposed to get spotting damage from recon flights, and I do the recon flights, and I rarely see spotting damage, or I only see small amounts. So I don't think it's that effective. You get more XP and more likely to rank up to general if you reset cap. So this was well known for years, and I went and reset cap, and I would get tons of XP, and I would get general. But for some reason, you've got allies who refuse to do it, and they think that you're supposed to let the enemy cap so they can get general. They don't understand you have to reset cap to get general. And I've seen games, I wish I knew which replays they were, where the capping was furious, where the team's trying to cap and they get reset, and they try to cap and they get reset, and they try to cap and they get reset, and there's a huge battle that goes on for a long time, usually at cap E, where they're trying to cap it and they just can't do it. And you'd start to see a graveyard of tanks around the cap. So it does happen sometimes, and they're fun games when everyone's going in and throwing all their armor at these caps. So I've got some videos for cap A, this one's for cap C, this one's about overtime, and this one's about resetting cap. I believe what it means is that I drive in with an autoloader and hit 2 tanks. This, I believe what I did was I capped D, E, and F in one game, and I think I did it all by myself. I went to D with a light tank and capped it, and then I drove to E and capped it, and then I drove to F and capped it. I think it takes 8 to 10 minutes to do it by yourself, because you need like 2 minutes to cap and a minute to drive to the next cap. This is a game where the enemy capped A, B, and C in the first 2 minutes. They had like 17 minutes at the final objectives because our team was just incompetent. These are all replays about capping. This is at cheapbooks.cc. Go to World of Tanks and look for Frontline, and you'll see capping tips. Today is January 25th, 2023, so if a long time has passed, I might have more tips and more replays down at the bottom about capping. I'm having trouble finding images because they're just not on the internet. And I also own cheapbooks.com, which is a website for listing books and textbooks. So this is World of Tanks Frontline capping tips. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.